The greatest battles are not always fought with swords. Sometimes they begin with nothing more than the courage to speak the truth. A shepherd, armed with only a wooden staff, was about to stand before the most powerful king on earth. One man claimed to be a god. The other had spoken directly to Allah. One ruled through fear. The other walked forward with complete trust in his Lord. The palace where Musa had once lived as a child was now the place he would return to as the messenger of Allah, not seeking wealth, not seeking revenge, not seeking power, but carrying a single message: worship Allah alone. To many it seemed impossible. How could one prophet challenge an empire? How could a wooden staff stand against armies? How could truth overcome a throne built upon decades of oppression? But history has always shown that when Allah supports his servants, numbers no longer matter, power no longer matters, and the impossible becomes inevitable. What happened next would shake the foundations of Egypt. The greatest magicians would abandon everything they believed. A tyrant would witness miracle after miracle, yet still refuse to humble himself. An entire sea would become a road, and one of history's mightiest rulers would meet an end no one could have imagined. This is the second chapter of the extraordinary story of Prophet Musa, the story of the greatest confrontation between truth and falsehood. The gates of Pharaoh's palace opened once again, but this time Musa did not enter as the child once raised within its walls. He entered as the messenger of Allah. Beside him stood his brother Harun. Together they carried a message unlike any Pharaoh had ever heard. "Send with us the children of Israel, and do not torment them. We have come to you with a sign from your Lord." Pharaoh looked at Musa and laughed. He reminded him of the years he had spent growing up in the palace. Then he said, "Did we not raise you among us as a child, and did you not remain with us for many years of your life?" Finally, he mentioned the incident Musa had long regretted, the death of the Egyptian. Musa did not deny it. He replied, "I did it before I received guidance. Then I fled from you because I feared you, but my Lord granted me wisdom and made me one of the messengers." Truth needs no excuses. It only needs honesty. But Pharaoh had no intention of accepting the truth. Instead, he accused Musa of being nothing more than a magician. Then Allah commanded Musa to show the first sign. He threw down his staff. Before the eyes of Pharaoh, it transformed into a mighty serpent, a live, moving reel. Then Musa placed his hand beneath his cloak. When he brought it out, it shone with a brilliant light, a miracle from Allah. The palace fell silent, yet Pharaoh's heart remained unchanged. He declared, "This is surely skilled magic." Then he announced a public contest, not behind palace walls, but before the entire nation. The finest magicians from every corner of Egypt were summoned. The day arrived. Crowds filled the open field. Thousands watched, waiting to see whether Musa's signs were truly from Allah or merely another illusion. The magicians stepped forward, confident, celebrated masters of deception. They cast their ropes and staffs upon the ground by their magic. They appeared like living snakes, slithering across the earth. For a brief moment, even Musa felt concern. Then Allah reassured him, "Do not fear, indeed you will have the upper hand." Musa threw down his staff, and in an instant it became a massive serpent, not an illusion, not a trick, a miracle. It swallowed everything the magicians had created. Within moments the field was empty. The illusion had vanished. The magicians understood immediately. No magician could perform what they had just witnessed. Without hesitation, they fell into prostration, declaring before everyone, "We believe in the Lord of Musa and Harun." The greatest experts in magic had become the strongest witnesses to the truth. But Pharaoh's pride would not allow him to accept defeat. Instead, he threatened them with torture and death. Yet their answer echoes through history. "Judge as you wish. You can only judge this worldly life." On that day, Pharaoh won no followers, but Musa won hearts, and the battle between truth and falsehood had only just begun. The entire kingdom had witnessed the miracle. Even Pharaoh's own magicians had fallen in prostration, declaring their belief in the Lord of Musa and Harun. But Pharaoh refused to surrender. His pride had become greater than the truth itself. Instead of reflecting, he tightened his grip on the children of Israel. Their suffering grew worse. Their cries rose higher. Yet Allah did not abandon them. Again and again he sent signs, each one more powerful than the last. The Nile overflowed its banks, bringing devastating floods. Then came swarms of locusts, destroying crops and leaving fields barren. Next, countless lice spread throughout the land, followed by an overwhelming plague of frogs, filling homes, palaces, and even Pharaoh's chambers. Then the waters of Egypt turned to blood. What had once given life could no longer be drunk. Each time disaster struck, Pharaoh called for Musa. He pleaded, "Pray to your Lord for us. If this punishment is removed, we will surely believe, and we will let the children of Israel go." Out of mercy, Musa prayed, and each time Allah lifted the punishment. But as soon as relief came, Pharaoh broke his promise. Again and again, his heart had become blind, not because the signs were unclear, but because arrogance had taken control. Finally, Allah revealed to Musa that the time for warnings had come to an end. The believers were commanded to leave Egypt, not during the day when everyone could see, but under the cover of night. Quietly, families gathered. Mothers carried their children. Fathers packed what little they owned. An entire nation prepared to walk away from generations of slavery. Step by step, they disappeared into the darkness. For the first time in their lives, freedom seemed within reach, but dawn was approaching, and before long, Pharaoh discovered his slaves were gone. His anger consumed him. He ordered his army to prepare immediately. Thousands of soldiers mounted their horses. Chariots thundered across the desert. The greatest army in Egypt was now racing toward a group of unarmed believers. Ahead of Musa lay the sea. Behind him, the army of Pharaoh was closing in. Escape seemed impossible. The night had given way to dawn. The children of Israel had walked for hours. Behind them, a cloud of dust rose across the horizon. Pharaoh's army had found them. Thousands of soldiers armed with swords, spears, and chariots closed in with terrifying speed. Ahead lay the Red Sea. Its waves blocked every path. There was nowhere left to run. The people looked behind them, then toward the sea. Fear spread through the crowd. Some cried out, "Indeed, we have been overtaken." From every human perspective, they were trapped. An army behind them, an endless sea before them. But while the people saw an impossible situation, Musa saw an opportunity for Allah's help. Without panic, without hesitation, he replied with words that have given hope to believers for centuries. "Know indeed my Lord is with me. He will guide me." At that moment, Allah revealed his command, "Strike the sea with your staff." Musa raised the same staff that had become a serpent, the same staff Allah had placed in his hand on Mount Tur. He struck the sea, and by the command of Allah, the impossible happened. The water split apart. Towering walls of water rose on both sides. Between them, a dry path appeared. Where moments before there had been only sea, there was now a road. The children of Israel stood in awe. Then they crossed. Step by step, family by family, they walked safely between the towering walls of water. Behind them, Pharaoh arrived. Even after witnessing every sign, every warning, every miracle, his arrogance remained unchanged. Seeing the path through the sea, he shouted for his army to advance. Believing he still had the upper hand, his soldiers followed him straight into the passage. But once the believers had safely reached the other side, Allah gave another command. The sea returned to its natural state. The towering walls of water crashed down. Pharaoh and his mighty army were swallowed by the sea. As the waves closed around him, he cried out, "I believe that there is no God except the one in whom the children of Israel believe, and I am now of the Muslims." But faith, at the moment when punishment has already arrived, is no longer accepted. Allah replied, "Now, while you had disobeyed before and were among the corruptors, the ruler who once claimed, 'I am your highest Lord,' was powerless before the decree of Allah. His kingdom, his army, his throne could not save him. Yet Allah preserved his body as a sign for future generations, a reminder that no matter how great a tyrant may become, no one can overcome the power of Allah. The sea had closed. Pharaoh was gone. For the first time in generation, the children of Israel were free. No chains, no whips, no tyrant standing over them. The promise of Allah had been fulfilled. But freedom was only the beginning, because escaping oppression is easier than removing it from the heart. Soon after, Allah called Musa to Mount Sinai. There he was honored once again, receiving the Torah, divine guidance for his people. Before leaving, Musa appointed his brother Harun to care for the nation. But during Musa's absence, a man known as Samiri began leading the people astray. Using the gold they had carried from Egypt, he crafted a golden calf. Then he deceived the people into believing it deserved worship. The very nation that had witnessed the sea split now stood before a lifeless statue. Many of them forgot the miracles they had seen. They forgot who had saved them, and they turned to something made by human hands. When Musa returned, holding the tablets, he was shocked. His people had fallen into idolatry. He confronted them. Then he turned to Harun, who explained that he had tried to stop them, but feared the people would divide. Musa understood. The true source of the corruption was as Samiri, the one who had led them astray. The golden calf was destroyed, and once again, the children of Israel were reminded that guidance comes only from Allah. Years later, after a lifetime filled with miracles, trials, and faith, Prophet Musa completed the mission entrusted to him by Allah. He had stood before the greatest tyrant of his age, delivered Allah's message without fear, freed an entire nation by the permission of Allah, and became one of the 5 greatest messengers known as Ulul Azm, the messengers of determination. His journey was never about defeating Pharaoh. It was about proving that no matter how powerful falsehood appears, truth will always prevail when it is supported by Allah. As we reach the end of the story of Prophet Musa, one question remains. Why did Allah mention his story more than any other prophet in the Quran? Because the story of Musa is not only about miracles, it is about faith. When everything around you tells you to give up as a baby, he was protected by a river. As a young man, he was forgiven after a mistake. As a fugitive, he discovered that Allah opens doors where we see none. As a shepherd, he learned patience before leadership, and as a messenger, he stood before the most powerful ruler on earth with nothing but the words Allah placed upon his tongue, time and time again. The odds were against him, yet every impossible situation ended the same way. Allah fulfilled his promise. The story of Musa reminds us that our greatest obstacle is never the size of our problem. It is the size of our trust in Allah. How often do we stand before our own Red Sea, believing there is no way forward? Perhaps it's a hardship that feels too heavy, a dream that seems impossible, a loss that has broken your heart, or a future you can no longer see clearly. In those moments, remember the words of Musa, "No, indeed, my Lord is with me. He will guide me." Those weren't just words, they were certainty, and that certainty changed history. Because when Allah is with you, no river is too deep, no tyrant is too powerful, and no hardship lasts forever. If the story of Prophet Musa strengthened your faith, then don't let its lessons end here. Share this documentary with someone who may need the reminder that Allah never abandons those who place their trust in Him. And we'd love to hear from you in the comments. Which moment from the life of Prophet Musa inspired you the most? Was it his mother trusting Allah and placing him in the Nile, his conversation with Allah on Mount Tur, his courage before Pharaoh, or the moment the sea split by Allah's command? If you're passionate about authentic Islamic documentaries that bring the Quran to life, deepen our love for the prophets, and strengthen our connection with Allah, then subscribe to FaithVerse and join us as we continue exploring the greatest stories ever told. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.